The village of La Mesa has got a lot of variation, a lot of character, a lot of charm. One of those rotating houses, there's a very few in the entire world. Some of the best view units are apartments in this area. If you run these stairs, it's a workout. Let me tell you, being on the top of the city, best views you can see in every direction. Travel at your own risk, because this thing gets a little bit sketchy. If you're thinking about making the move to San Diego and you're still looking for a little community close enough to the city but has its own identity, still has walkable options, as well as all of the amenities and the lifestyle benefits of living in the city of San Diego, well, in this video, I'm gonna give you a tour of La Mesa, California, the jewel of the hills just east of city of San Diego, a city with its own identity, its own character, some history, and its own charm. Let's go check it out. So La Mesa, California, one of the often addressed little cities that you hear of when you're looking at moving to San Diego, but there's a lot of things about it that a lot of people don't know. First, let's talk about a little bit of the history. This area was sort of pioneered by Robert Allison, who in 1868 came out here. He was a stockman, and he observed the elevated terrain, but the fertility of the soil, the availability of water from previously La Mesa Spring, and the drainage and the ideal climate for things like olives, grapes, and citrus. And this guy came out here in 1868, purchased 4,000 acres, and much of that is now Lemon Grove and other parts of La Mesa. But that was pretty much the first move that got started in developing and really making the name La Mesa when he came out here. Now, fast forward to about 1910, the city had gained some attention. They had about 1,000 residents, enough to start looking at incorporating as a city of their own with their own identity separate from the city of San Diego. They kind of wanted a separate feeling, a separate area, their own rules and laws. And they came out here and they incorporated La Mesa as we know it today. Now, let's talk location real quick. We already mentioned that it's just east of city of San Diego. And you have three distinct areas. You have the village, which has the most historical significance. This is really the birthplace and the central hub of the city. And when it was formed, you have Mount Helix, Casa de Oro area, much of which is unincorporated. So it's not officially city of La Mesa. You're going to go to the county if you want to do things like building, for example. But address-wise, it is still La Mesa, and it's very much part of the character of La Mesa. And then a little bit further northwest, you have the Lake Murray area, which is a bit newer housing, still 70s and 80s, but newer than, for example, the 1940s and 50s, mid-centuries that you're going to see in a lot of parts of the village. And Mount Helix is probably also a little bit newer than the older parts of the village of La Mesa. Those are the three main areas. Lake Murray is going to be a bit more suburban feel, a bit more tract home feel, quiet. It's got access to Lake Murray. It has access to Mission Trails right there. The village, much more walkable, lots of character, a lot more history. Then Mount Helix is going to be your bigger estates, sweeping views. The priciest homes you're going to see sell in La Mesa are going to be typically in the Mount Helix area. And you're going to have houses anywhere from 3 to even 10,000 feet in that area. So let's go ahead and explore some of these areas. Let's talk about the pros, cons, the benefits of these different areas, and let's go check it all out. So we're in La Mesa Village. We're on La Mesa Boulevard, and I'm just gonna make a quick detour over here to the La Mesa Depot Museum. And one of the key points of history in La Mesa is back when they opened this railroad and started offering transit services between here and San Diego, that kind of kicked off a lot of the economic drive that became the main driver of La Mesa back in the day. And it's kind of cool because they have these old streetcars. They have a little museum here you can check out, a little bit on the history of the railroad. And they even have a little museum in here. I was just in there talking with the gentleman running it, Timothy. He's got some really cool stories and information on the history of the railroad here in La Mesa, and then actually just all over San Diego County. There's a whole lot of cool history, and obviously the railroad was fundamental in transforming and revolutionizing trade and transit. Anyway, it's a cool little part of La Mesa down here. So with the way everything's positioned out here, you have a truly walkable community between the Orange Line trolley, the bus lines, and everything just within the village and down La Mesa Boulevard and Spring Street. You can walk, bicycle, or hop on public transit to just about anywhere you need to go. Now, a little bit above me, you can see is Mount Nebo or Windsor Hills. And that's a really cool part of La Mesa because you have these roads that are winding around the hills and they have views of the village and some of the best views in East County next to Mount Helix. Now in La Mesa Village, you have over 25 restaurants, bars, and eateries. And as you can see behind me, you got Farmer's Table, which is a great little spot. You've got flower shops, you have gyms, you have smoke shops, Pilates, yoga, pretty much everything you can ask for right in walking distance. Now, right now I'm down here in the village on a Tuesday early afternoon, and it's pretty quiet. But come weekend, especially on Fridays for the farmers market, 3 to 7 p.m. year round, except for holidays, it's going to be hustling and bustling down here. You got thousands of people coming out from all over, not just La Mesa residents. It's kind of a destination farmers market, and they've got all sorts of cool vendors and products. It's a really neat place. It's a really fun place to go with the kids. And another huge thing that La Mesa, especially the village, is famous for is the Oktoberfest every year. It's one of the largest single weekend events in, I think, all of San Diego County. Every single October, it's a pretty awesome festive experience. I think it draws over 100,000 people on average. It's one of the more authentic Oktoberfests, if you can say authentic outside of Germany, in San Diego. So a really cool event, and it really brings a lot of people out here. Now around the village, you have all sorts of housing types and all sorts of ages too. They go back as far as the 1910s to a lot of 1940s and 50s and 60s construction. You even have some pockets right outside the village, like on the south side of the village, that are newer construction built in the early 2000s. So you've got a big variety of different types of housing, different sizes, different ages, different styles, and different eras. By and large, the village of La Mesa has got a lot of variation, a lot of character, a lot of charm, and you can really kind of find what you're looking for in many regards. So I'm at the corner of Spring Street and Lemon Ave, and behind me is the depot station with the old train. Over there you have Mount Nebo, Windsor Hills, which is a beautiful hilly area. You could technically walk down to the village from there with not too much issue. It's not a real mountain per se, but it's got some good hills in there. And the streets just meander. They wind through this hilly terrain with beautiful views. You got a lot of homes with unique character up there, some older ones, some newer ones. And it's a really cool section of La Mesa Village that's really worth checking out if you're looking for that unique charm. Over here you have La Mesa First United Methodist Church, which is one of the older buildings in the area. I believe that was founded late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. But as you can see, throughout the city, there's a lot of history, a lot of old mixed with the new, and with the age comes a lot of character. Now behind me are the secret stairs of Mount Nebo, and Windsor Hills. And let's go check them out. All right, I made it to the top of the secret staircase up here on Summit Drive. It's a nice quiet cul-de-sac on the top of Mount Nebo. As you can see, you got views over to Mount Helix, all the way to Del Cerro. Some of these probably have views of the lake. I gotta say, I started off kind of tough looking, but if you run these stairs, it's a workout, let me tell you. And as you should be able to see, almost all the homes here have a completely different aesthetic. Well, to some extent, dictated by the lay of the land. So some of these on really steep hills and they have decks, you know, stories above the street. Other ones are a little bit more street level. Other ones are just built into the views. It's a very cool little pocket of La Mesa, and you know, definitely one of the unique feels that La Mesa offers. Now, as we're leaving the Mount Nebo and Village downtown La Mesa area, we're gonna head out to the Lake Murray area of La Mesa. And real quick, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos like this, exploring all sorts of areas in San Diego and talking everything living in San Diego and San Diego real estate. Also, if you're looking to buy or sell in the San Diego or Southern California areas, all the way up to Southeast Riverside County, and you're looking for a trusted advisor, someone who's going to be turning over all the stones to make sure that if you're buying something, it's a good investment, or if you're selling something, to make sure you have proper representation to not leave any money on the table, get in contact with us. Let's talk about how we can serve you. Shoot us a call, give us a text. Our contact information is below. We look forward to hearing from you. So as we're heading to the Lake Murray area of La Mesa, you'll notice that this is a much more suburban, traditional feel styles of homes. More tract homes, many of them built in the 70s and 80s, and much more uniformity throughout. It still has some character though. There's mature vegetation, the trees are beautiful, and you have great access right to Lake Murray and Mission Trails. So just to the north side in this area of La Mesa, we share a boundary with San Diego and the San Carlos neighborhood. Across the lake is Del Cerro. So a very central area, great for activities with the kids by the lake, great for hiking in Mission Trails or running paved path around the lake. You can even rent boats at the lake or go fishing. So lots of recreation around here, and it's still very close to the village. You're about 8-9 minutes maybe from the village, depending on traffic, and it's a great neighborhood overall. Now, as we're walking to the lake, you can see there's a running trail, paved running, biking, walking trail that goes pretty much all the way around. It does stop, so you have to turn around and come back. You can't do an entire loop around the lake, but it's something like 6 miles total. So great place to come out and run, walk. This is not a swimming lake. This is a reservoir. So just like most bodies of water in San Diego and Southern California, you're not allowed to do like water sports aside from boating, no stand-up paddleboarding, but it's still a great place to have a body of water right near you. Beautiful view, lots of waterfowl and ducks. And it can get quite busy here too. Often you have fireworks for the 4th of July. Sometimes you have concerts out here in the parks. And it's a cool amenity to have nearby. Now, there are some homes that come right up to the edge of the lake that are in La Mesa, many more in San Carlos. The ones in Del Cerro up on the hill overlook it a little bit more. But mostly around here, you're going to have more apartments that are actually going to be right next to the lake. Some of the best view units are apartments in this area. Now, as far as the amenities around the Lake Murray area, there's, again, great proximity still to everything in the village. But then you also have Lake Murray Boulevard, which has a number of small shopping centers and restaurants. It's got some great little spots. Smoking the Brisket is one of our favorite barbecue spots out there. If you go there, check out the Cowboy Caviar, just absolutely delicious. Yeah, they got lots of cool little options. You're close to Grossmont Center, and that has big name shopping like Target. You're near Costco. Lots of amenities all nearby you. You're only a few minutes from City of San Diego too. You can hop on the 8 And within 10 minutes, you're in Mission Valley. So no shortage of anything as far as amenities go out here. And if you're on Lake Murray Boulevard, in some areas, you can still get a little bit of that walkability to local errands and restaurants, but it's not going to be generally as walkable as you're going to find in the village. Next, I'm going to take you to Mount Helix, part of La Mesa. And the first place we're headed is Mount Helix Park. So if you drive east on Interstate 8 often, and you go past College Ave exit, you'll start seeing this hill in the distance with a little white cross on the top. That's Mount Helix. Now, a few other amenities talking about La Mesa in general is the city has 14 parks, and that doesn't even include Mount Helix Park, which is technically a privately owned park, but it's open to the public. You can have memberships and have special access to different events that they host, but it does have open access, so you can go up there, park, take a walk on one of the trails around there like I'll do in a minute with you. And I really kind of get an amazing perspective of the city of San Diego. Now, in addition to the park, which is at the summit of Mount Helix, the surrounding neighborhood as you drive up there is pretty cool and unique as well. There is a famous house up there. It's shaped like a circle, and it recently sold, actually, I believe, in 2023 for about $5.1 million. This house is one of those rotating houses. There's a very few in the entire world, at least in the country. And that's really what you get in Mount Helix is there's several one-of-a-kind estates up there because none of them are going to be just like the other one. They are all built based on the terrain. And this is much of San Diego, but Mount Helix has some pretty cool big boulders as well. So you'll see homes with several acres. You know, you have like a boulder field in your backyard, a view of a meadow, or you might have a house down the street that has no outdoor space and is an entirely different look and feel. Now, overall, you're going to find more of the larger upscale estates in all of La Mesa in Mount Helix. There's also a gated community up here on the hill on Lake Helix Drive, and they have their own private little reservoir, and the houses just go right around the little pond. It's not really much of a lake. So cool little communities and houses and settings like that you're not going to find most places in the rest of San Diego. Now, as you can see behind me, the views from up here are nothing short of spectacular. You can see as far as the curvature of the earth will allow you pretty much in every direction, depending on the haze. So it doesn't really get much better than this as far as views go. And this outdoor amphitheater seats 1,600 people. And imagine being on the top of the city, best views you can see in every direction, and having like a candlelight concert down here. It's a pretty cool ambiance. Also, it's got these cool trails that go around the top of the park area. Nothing fancy, just a few dirt trails and benches, some picnic tables, areas to meditate, get some perspective, and just chill out. Not that there's any shortage of trails in San Diego, but in La Mesa, you got some special ones. Now, between the secret steps at Mount Nebo, mission trails, hiking trails, and the amphitheater stairs at Mount Helix Park, you're guaranteed to get your steps in. An interesting thing about Mount Helix is, since we live in such a kind of desert-like climate, a little bit of shade makes a lot of difference. So on the east side and the north side of the mountain, you're going to tend to see more mature vegetation or bigger trees, more greenery, more foliage than you might on the western or southern side, which is going to be more sparsely vegetated. Little things like that kind of make each part of even a neighborhood section of La Mesa unique in its own way. And you can really find different feelings even within a neighborhood like Mount Helix, just from one side of the mountain or hill to the other side. And like I said, there's a lot of winding, cool, unique streets around Mount Helix, but some of them have warning signs like the one we just passed. And it says, travel at your own risk, because this thing gets a little bit sketchy. So let's talk a little bit about housing. Between the three communities we just went and saw, the median price for a detached single-family home across all of those together is generally going to be, we're talking mid-2025 right now, about mid-900s. Now, if we make it a reasonable size and we say, hey, detached single-family houses 1,600 feet and above, then we're looking more at around 1.15 to 1.2 median price, because you have a lot of these older homes and a lot of them are significantly on the small end, and those do skew the numbers a bit. So something to keep in mind, if we're looking in the Village or the older La Mesa area, you can expect to pay under $1 million, but you're also going to get a smaller house on average. Or you can pay much more than that as well and still get a larger home in those areas. But we're anywhere from 9s to mid 1.5s if you go up to nice areas of Mount Helix. And you can pay up to $3 million is kind of the upper threshold of most homes, even in Mount Helix. You can also get condos, especially in the Village or in Lake Murray area. You're going to have a much more affordable budget there. The three areas I went over also, that's not all La Mesa is. There's all these other little areas sprinkled in between there that have their own nuances and different flavors, and you can find things in different price points. There's some areas of La Mesa that you can find a house for $600,000. It's one of those communities that it has diversity of housing. It's got the full spectrum as far as all the types and feels and eras of houses, and it really kind of gives you a whole lot to play with if you're looking for, your specific fit per se. Now, I mentioned Grossmont Center earlier, and to even give you some more interesting insights into the history of La Mesa, Grossmont Center, before it was what it is right now, was one of the sets that they used to use for shooting old Western clips. It was called the Flying A's. So places like Grossmont Center and open plains of El Cajon and Fletcher Hills were used as the sets for old Westerns and horse chases and all that old kind of Western movie scene, which is a really kind of cool thing. And, what other places do you know in San Diego that actually had a name for themselves in the film industry, granted 100 years ago? But it speaks to the uniqueness, the charm, the character, and just the novelty of a place like La Mesa. And real quick, if you're getting any value out of this video, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss out on future content just like this about everything San Diego. And before we wrap this video up, I got one more place to show you. One of my new favorite little eateries right here in La Mesa. So I just got the Caprese with prosciutto, recommendation of the lady in there. I always get the Italian or the spicy Italian. They're delicious. This is one of the most authentic Italian places, at least per my Italian friends. And I gotta say, it doesn't disappoint. And that's the cool thing about La Mesa, among other things, is, there's lots of these little shops like authentic Italian or a cigar lounge or whatever it is that your flavor is. La Mesa's got so much to offer, and it's really one of those cool, unique, quaint cities. So definitely worth checking out. And that, folks, is a quick overview of La Mesa, California. And believe it or not, there's a lot more to it than what we showed you. And what'd you think? Let me know in the comments below. You think you want to move here? You think you need to keep on looking? Whatever it is, if you're looking for your place in San Diego, whether it's La Mesa or somewhere else, and you're looking for somebody who's going to be on your side, is going to help you turn over all the stones and make sure it's the right fit for you, we'd love to speak with you. Give us a call, shoot us a text, or schedule a no-pressure consultation at the link below. When we work with our clients, the only satisfactory outcome is 100% satisfaction. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.